Hello podcast listeners and welcome to the Pic-a-Flic podcast, where I, your host, breaks down various movies and sometimes TV shows the best way that I know how. In this episode, I'm bringing back my Flickie Quickie Corner segment, which will basically be me reviewing things in under 5 minutes. And in the tradition of attempting to stay consistent with reviewing certain movie franchises, I'll be following up my franchise coverage with the latest film about a certain hedgehog. Now let's get right into things. The latest Sonic film finds our beloved Blue, fast, ring-chasing furball, reteaming with his allies Tails and Knuckles as a new foe emerges, Shadow, the serious hedgehog. A temporary truce with Jim Carrey's Eggman gets rocky when he reunites with his grandfather, Gerald, also played by Jim Carrey, who has a bit of history with the mysterious Shadow. Let me kick off my thoughts by stating this. If you were to tell little 7 to 8-year-old me, a casual Sonic connoisseur who loves certain video games from him, that this guy would not only get 1, not 2, but 3 movies released in theaters a decade later, I'd have thought you were a time traveler who got poisoned by a plate of Kikazine. I mean, what else would a time traveler tell me? That they saw submersibles with billionaires inside crash and burn? Tuh. Back to the film at hand. I really enjoyed this one. It seems like these movies just keep getting better and better and more epic and grander in scale. What the movie did for me better than the previous one was balancing the human actors with their CGI animated counterparts better. And it's not that I don't dislike the human characters, I just felt that the subplots were a bit much at some point. But more on that later, as I still have my tiffs in that area. I must say that the visuals were also breathtaking to watch in certain parts, especially the action sequences shared between Sonic and Shadow. The emotional stakes are driven higher here thanks to the backstory of Shadow's character, and that's helped in part to the performance from Keanu Reeves, who plays the monotone character very well. Shadow's story basically mirrors John Wick, but replaces Damn Dog with the little girl Maria. But their scenes were absolutely wholesome and beautiful to see, and it could have possibly gotten a tear out of me had it not been for that clip of Stephen Colbert mistakenly misinterpreting their relationship during his interview with Ben Schwartz, aka the voice of Sonic.
What am I getting in Sonic 3 I didn't get in Sonic 1 and 2?
You're getting Keanu Reeves as Shadow.
What?
Do you know what Shadow's nickname is? Okay, wait, stop. This I know you do not know.
I know the Shadow falls in love with Maria.
You need to leave!
In this movie universe, I didn't feel a romantic vibe between Shadow and Maria at all. Sorry. Only siblings vibes. Now, Robotnik and Agent Stone's relationship is a theory I'll tolerate, but I just can't hold space in my gravity-defying mind to co-shine The Shape of Water 2.0. The performances from the cast were good as usual. Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, and Colleen O'Shaughnessy tasted in the roles of Sonic, Knuckles, Shadows, and Tails respectively. The human cast were tolerable, but as always, Jim Carrey stands out in the role of Robotnik. And hey, if everyone likes one Jim Carrey, there surely can't go wrong with 2 Jim Carreys. And I have to say that Jim works well off of himself, and that dance scene which Twitter popped me in the spoiler-avoiding face was probably the best Eggman dance break of the franchise so far. It's one scene that I've been going back to over and over again since I first saw it. In fact, someone should send me help. Immediately.
Please! Please!
I also really dug the emotional character arc that Eggman goes through in this one. What he thought was an actual bonding moment with a long-lost family member turned out to just be a facade, and you can kind of feel sympathy for him here. And I have a question for those that have seen the movie. Was it just me, or did his final monologue before the inevitable happens give off some Truman Show vibes? Maybe I'm just reading into it, who knows. Let me bring up my 2 minor gripes before announcing my rating. While I enjoyed Jim Carrey through and through, his act started to run a little thin during the final act of this movie. When the intensity of the story starts to build, it's immediately shot down by an abrupt cut back to the Eggman foolishness hour, which ultimately made the ending not land for me completely. I still liked it, but it just didn't completely land. I also would have personally liked to see more interactions between Maria and Peepaw Robotnik. Hearing him say that he passionately cared for her and will seek justice for what happened to her is one thing, but I would have liked to actually see a visual on that to kind of grasp their relationship better. Now, with these gripes aside, I'll happily rate the third Sonic movie with a 4 out of 5 popcorn buckets, which is the highest of the franchise in terms of my ratings. I believe I previously gave the first 2 Sonics 3.5 out of 5. As I mentioned earlier, I had a blast watching this movie. The animated characters look great, I was invested in their storylines, and as always, fun Jim Carrey is fun Jim Carrey. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next one and who will provide the voice for a familiar character of the franchise who was teased at the end of the movie. And that about wraps up this episode. Next up on the pod, a review and a retrospective on the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, celebrating 10 years since it was first released back in 2015. If you'd like to be the first to get notifications on when new releases and episodes drop, be sure to subscribe to the pod wherever you listen to said shows. Tell a friend to tell another friend to check it out. All support and feedback is appreciated. Also, if you want to follow the show on social media, we can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the username handle at Pic-a-Flic. That is at PICAFLICPOD. If review logging is your thing, then you may be familiar with Letterboxd, where you can also find non-audio exclusive reviews that I do under the aforementioned Pic-a-Flic username handle. So be sure to follow me there if you use it. Once again, thank you all for tuning in to my episodes, and until the next chapter, this is the Western Wonder, and I'm signing out to watch that Robotnik Square dancing in. Peace.
Bye, have a great time.